We are crotchety old men.
And a woman,
We are crotchety old men.
and a woman,
I am crotchety. She is crotchety. We are crotchety old men.
and a woman.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 11 of We Are Crotchety Old Men. Old Men.
And a woman.
We are here in beautiful, hot, and steamy West Virginia, and we are with our newest guest. We'll be introducing her in a little bit. I wanted to say thank you for everyone who's been listening and following us. Feel free if you would like to be on the show, like our newest guest. We can be reached out to at we are crotchety old men. I know that's long at gmail.com. That's we are crotchety old men at gmail.com. Or you can reach us on Twitter at crotchety old men. That's a lot easier. Feel free, reach out to us, and we would love to speak with you and have you tell us why you're crotchety or angry, disturbed, whatever. On a hot day like today, it could be anything. So, with that, I wanted to jump right in. We had a couple emails this week. Abigail, you want to take over and read one of the emails?
Yeah, essentially, we have a couple follow ups. Jerome, if you remember, was from Washington, D.C., and was pretty upset about the name change. So, this week in the news, um, turns out there's a group called the Native Americans Guardians Association. They have started and signed a petition to the new owners of the Redskins, and they want to petition that they go back to the name of Redskins,
Not the Commanders.
not the Commanders. So, what does ownership come out and say? They say that this group is fake and toxic. They are talking about a minority group, and they get away with saying that they're toxic. So, Jerome, I don't know what to tell you, other than the world has been turned around and upside down.
Not very nice. Then we have our current PSA that we do every day. Oh, we are having problems with a little technical difficulty. Oh, there it is. Sorry, we were able to fix that. So, Mr. N from New York City writes, today I killed 5 lanternflies, and in one instance, a stranger helped me knock it down and squish it. And they gave each other high fives. Okay, so this is New York City where maybe these lanternflies are bringing together the community. Maybe it's them. They will unite us all. Thank you, lanternflies. And with that, I would like my beautiful partner Abigail to introduce our newest listener and crotchety person. Or do you want me to do
Yeah, I
it?
think you should.
All right. So we have Annette. Annette, welcome to the show.
Hello and thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
So you're a little crotchety, from what I hear.
Well, unfortunately, there's a lot of things in this world to be crotchety about. I try to find the positives in most things, but it seems like every time you turn around, there's something else that's an unbelievable situation that's a real head scratcher, and it's hard to not be crotchety.
Okay, so tell us, give us some examples. How are you feeling right now about like what's going on? What's your pet peeve, your issue, your irked moment?
So most recently, I have found that it is now the trend. It's the new norm that, the term customer service is dead. That's something that goes around quite often, but literally, I'm finding that businesses everywhere, and it doesn't matter whether it's retail, whether it's Dunkin' Donuts, whether it's your general store that you're going into, a convenience store, businesses everywhere are having technology take the place of the human experience, of human support, of human staff.
Can you give an example?
Absolutely. So most recently, I went into a Dunkin' Donuts, and everybody is not tech savvy. Everybody, you've got, I'm 53. You have people that are 60s, 70s, 20. It really doesn't matter. But when I went in there, they had literally cordoned off, like with police tape, if you will, the area to walk up to the counter where the cash register is, and the employee would be there with a smile on their face to take your order. What can I get you today? That you've come into our, you come into our business and you're asking us to serve you.
Right.
Had it blocked off, like no entrance here.
Okay.
And there were 2 screens that were almost the size of humans, and they have them in McDonald's now.
Oh, the little kiosks.
The kiosk, yes,
Wow.
yes. But they've literally, in this Dunkin' Donuts, they've blocked you off from even attempting to go up to the counter. There were 4 employees. There were 4 employees behind the counter standing around. I walked in and I thought, well, this is odd. And I was like, is this a mistake that I can't walk up there? There were 3 gentlemen sitting in chairs at a little table, and they were kind of laughing because they could see the look on my face, and they had seen probably 10 other people come in and do this kind of quizzical look. They're like, yeah, you have to order on there. And I was like, this is ridiculous. I was in a rush. I've never used the kiosk. It doesn't matter how tech savvy you are. It's more time consuming than if I had walked up and spoken to someone.
Right.
So absolutely. I mean, so I had to go, oh, we'll go back. Oh, well, where's the cream? I want to add cream. Oh, I only hit 3 cream. Now I got to go back. And, so did that, went through, I mean, it must have taken me probably 5 minutes to get that order right on that screen, because then it wasn't user friendly. And again, I'm not an idiot. I mean, I know how to, use a computer, but the way it was set up, it wasn't user friendly. These 3 gentlemen said that I was like the 10th person to come in there. And that it was ridiculous. Everybody was having problems with it.
Was there a line forming at all?
At that one, they had a drive-through too. There was not, but it was an odd time of the day, if you will. But they said it, maybe mid-morning. It wasn't like early morning, and it wasn't quite lunchtime yet.
Okay.
But they said that this had been going, these guys go there and, commiserate all morning. They're like retired men,
Right.
that's sitting there. And they said, yeah, it happens all day long, and that it's terrible.
So you can't just run in and say, hey, I need 2 Boston creams and an extra large coffee with almond milk.
Absolutely not. That would be out of the question to do that.
Okay, that wouldn't be me myself, but because I'm even less technology. I would be like trying to figure out how to turn it on. So
right.
for me,
And there was a screen that you had to go to that was not easy to find. And these men who are older than me and didn't look tech savvy, but they had seen it done enough times that thankfully they were able to tell me, you got to push that little button up in the left-hand corner of the screen to get to this section. It was unbelievable.
That
and
sucks.
Again, yeah, it's a absolute head scratcher that this is how the world has come, where technology has gotten to the point that you come in and now you are servicing yourself. I mean, literally, you have to make sure that you get what you want. And then when you get up there to pay for it, you're putting your card in a machine and you're pushing the buttons. And the only thing they do is literally, and I'm surprised it hasn't changed, but hand you your product.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Abigail.
But one day they'll have you go back in the kitchen and pick it up.
And even make it yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, I got to admit, this is a story we've been waiting for years now. Remember, the fight for $15 an hour. And what did we hear? Kiosks will be replacing the people behind the counter. So it is happening out there. I've seen it myself. What else is any other customer service complaints right now?
Yeah. Perfect example is, so at that Dunkin' Donuts, you didn't even have the option to go up to the 4 people that were standing there. You
Nice.
had to go put your order in yourself. When you go into a McDonald's, they have these kiosks. They're hoping people will just go over to the kiosk, but you still have the option to go to the counter. Now,
Okay.
there's usually not somebody always standing right there that second, but they're kind of looking over and seeing if anybody comes to the counter. But if you do that, you would think they would greet you with a smile, right? Okay, this person chooses to use personal interaction to place their order. So there was at that same place where that Dunkin' Donuts was, that was part of like a big gas station convenience
Okay.
store type
Yep.
place. So this is a nice place. Isn't some rundown place. I had gone to buy, actually, I think it was a stick of gum or pack of gum,
You're one of those.
right? And there is the self checkout, and then there is the cash register.
Right.
So I go to the cash register and I look over, and there's a woman, and she's over there just chit chatting with somebody in one of the aisles, a customer, but just like general chit chat. And I turned and I looked, and I'm doing this while they're making my coffee, hopefully, over at the Dunkin' Donuts. And she just kind of looked over at me and then turned and continued with her very general, not business related conversation with this person. Then she walks over and she says, you didn't, and said it just like this. It was the worst thing she could have said. And she realized that real quick. She said, you didn't have to wait on me. You could have checked yourself out.
Oh, wow. And you could have also jumped over there and just taken $900 worth of donuts
I was
at
like,
the same time.
who is this clown? Right? I mean, I literally looked at her and I said, I'm sorry. Are you telling me that it's an inconvenience for you to come over here? And these three gentlemen that were sitting in the Dunkin' Donuts section, they were cracking up because they already knew that I was not happy, right?
You're very
And they said,
feisty.
oh God, here we go. Boy, they had a story to tell for the next week. I said, I'm sorry. I said, are you serious that you're telling me that it was that I inconvenienced myself by not checking out using the self checkout because I had to wait for you to finish a personal conversation? I said, I'm sorry. This is your job and this is what you should be doing. And that's ridiculous that you made that statement to me. She didn't know what to say. She's looking at me but again, this is the mentality, because even the workers are conditioned to say, let people use those. It's less for us, or you could, I mean, it's not like she was doing something to help the cause of the business. She's just over there chit-chatting with someone. And just another quick one along those lines. So my son, he was at a CVS, and this is again another one. They have the cash registers. They don't keep people directly behind the cash registers anymore. Then they have the self-checkout.
Right.
Well, he didn't want to do the self-checkout. So he went over, and the woman comes to him with an attitude because he's looking around like, okay, and this is everywhere. This is at the Dollar General. It's disgusting. The woman comes around and is like, oh, you didn't want to, with an attitude. Oh, you didn't want to use the self-checkout, huh? I mean, they're literally being as though they are offended, right? They're offended that they have to do something because you didn't want to use the technology that was available, and you did the work yourself.
Yeah, I mean, and literally, they don't understand that they will be replaced one day and they will be out of jobs.
They're that ignorant. Exactly. They should be showing more their worth. But again, it starts at the top though. This is the culture. It's all about money. This is, like I said, the human experience is dying. We don't talk to people anymore. It's get the money as quick as you can, get them the product. If it's more difficult for them to get the product, who cares? In the end, they're still going to come back and get that Dunkin' Donuts, most of them, right? They're still going to come into CVS. They're still going to come into these places. It's terrible, and it's very frustrating, and it makes me very, very grumpy. And we're not even going to go into the grocery store situation, right? Where you are going and getting your groceries and then checking yourself out. Come on.
Right. Question. Now, sort of on the same topic, we mentioned it in a previous episode, and it sounds like, do you ever get it where they ask you, like, you're all done, you have to pay, and they ask you for like a tip or a donation or anything like that?
Here we go, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So even when we're doing all of these things, and cash is almost dead, which I guess is the goal of the global world administration here.
Yep.
You got to check yourself out. They don't even take your credit card. I've made the mistake of forgetting and accidentally handing the credit card to the person. You would have thought that I was handing them the bubonic plague. Okay. They literally jerk their hands back and they're like, you can put it in there. like,
Nice.
oh, God forbid that you actually, it's again, so I put it in and then it says it's 15 questions time. Do you want to give to, help little Jimmy with the new pair of legs? Do you want to get a car wash? Do you want to sign up for this subscription? There's all of them are different, but they all ask questions. And you're sitting there and you're like, I just want to buy a soda. That's all I want to do.
That's all
I
I
don't,
want.
I don't want to go through this. But yes, and then do you want to give to this cause or do you want to give to that cause? And it's just like, I am a grown adult. I understand that there's needs out there and that there are causes, and I'm capable of seeking them out. I don't want to be bothered when I'm buying a 12-ounce Coke.
Yeah, I just yesterday went to the Abigail and I went to the Maryland football game, and Maryland did win 38-6. Just want to point that out for our Maryland listeners. And I actually brought cash to the game, thinking I needed cash because I have to pay cash to park. And I go and I want to buy us some food, and it was card only. I did not know what to do. Then, as I'm there with the card only, I put it in. I couldn't read it because there was a glare because it was so sunny out. There was a glare. It was asking me, how much of a tip do you want to give? And it didn't even say zero. You couldn't find one that said zero. It was like 10%, 20%, 30% other. So I don't even, and I hit a button. I don't know what I hit. Then I hit other. I couldn't read it. I didn't have my glasses because I'm an old man, and I didn't have. I couldn't see it. And then I just hit it again. And I walked away, and I don't know. I felt a little small.
And in that situation, concession stand, they literally just turn around, grab the hot dog, and hand it back to you.
Yep.
But yet they're basically getting themselves a mandatory tip.
And it puts the consumer in this, most people in this uncomfortable position and on the spot where they feel like, oh, it's asking me, even though it's a machine asking you. You're standing there with this person who's clearly going to see if you give a tip or not, right? Even though they don't deserve it. Well, I go ahead and hit no tip. I have no problem. Look them in the eye when I do it, actually. And either way, I'm walking away with that beer, and I'll tell you. And here's going to concerts. So I love to go to concerts. And like you said, going to Maryland, and go Terps. When we go to these special events, they got us, right? Like, unless you're throwing in some Jim Beam, in your pants or whatever, you're buying $15 beers, $12 beers, whatever it is, the food, it's ridiculous. So going to concerts, I'll give you an example. And I thought that the system that they had was great because we know that the lines can get astronomically long. It's worse than the women's bathroom to get a beer, and that's bad. We're
wouldn't know
in
about
line,
that.
and they have set it up where now at some concerts I've been to, they have coolers, like the kind that you find at 7-Eleven, right? The sliding glass cooler to pull out your drink. But I mean, this thing is, it almost seems like it's a 1/10 of a mile long. And so you get in line, so it runs pretty smooth. You go in the line, as you go down the line, and they have security and they have it roped off. You open up and there's a 2-beer maximum. You get your beer. You pick your own beer out. So they aren't even having to turn around. I mean, I guess somebody had to stock it, God forbid, and keep it stocked. But that's what I'm saying. It's almost like it's a privilege at this point, that they do their job. So I pick up my beers, keep on going down the line. You get up to where the only thing they do is they punch in 2 beers, $80 or whatever it was. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
That's good beer.
Right? And then it ain't Bud Light.
Bud
But
Light.
anyway, so then there's a machine, they, put the card in the machine, and then it says tip.
Yep.
Tip. I'm like, you didn't even get my beer. You didn't wait in line for my beer. You didn't get my beer. You're just here to tell me to stick this piece of plastic in here to pay you $80 for 2 beers. And I'm supposed to tip you for this?
Yes, you are.
And again, this is the worker. I understand that they're not, the company, but it's the principle of it all. I'm going to tell you right now, and I have taught my children, you absolutely do not give tips anything other than what is the traditional. When somebody's cutting your hair, true services, they think I had to tip you because I saw your face today. I mean, like, that's what it comes down to. Tip me because I exist.
Maybe they're tipping. Maybe they want to tip for not wearing a mask.
Maybe that's it, because they're risking their lives. That's right. And so we should tip this person to help cover their medical costs.
They are
I mean,
heroes.
it's unreal. So unless it is a full service restaurant, I'm not talking, I go in, we order from Chinese from this place up the road. They're fabulous people, but they purchase it. I drive to them to pick it up. I get out of my car. I walk into the establishment. Somebody threw the, chicken chow mein in a box and wrapped it up for me and threw a staple in it to hold it together and rung me up. I don't consider that a service that I'm going to tip you for. Right. But of course, they're always tip. They're like, no. And I have no problem doing it. Like, I actually push a little hard on it when I say no, like to send a statement that this is ridiculous, that somebody would expect me to give 15% on an $80 worth of beer because that I picked out. So unless it's the haircut, unless it's the, the tradition, like I said, the traditional full service restaurant with a server, I'm not tipping, period. But they just make it so easy and make people uncomfortable enough to feel, okay, I'll give them.
And, sometimes they fool you and you end up doing double tipping.
Yep.
Has that ever happened to you?
It sure has. And so the time that I was at your house, Abigail, and we had turned around and ordered from Outback. Now, I am not somebody who does Uber or Uber Eats or whatever the other ones are called. It's just never been something I've done. I mean, I'll order from Domino's, but we had ordered. You had the account, but I paid for it. I was treating. And so we ordered some Outback, and in the, I guess on the front end of the order, it stated, hey, there's 15% tip. I don't remember if it was 10 or 15%, but there was a tip that was automatically added in just because you're using our service.
Okay. So we're gratuity for using service. Okay.
Right. So fine. But it was in there. I don't know that I read it. And again, you got to read what you read. But then they shouldn't do this, but they do, because and again, they know that most people are not double tipping.
Right.
When the guy got there, he hands me the receipt, that says, and a tip, like add a tip. Well, dummy me, I added a tip, not thinking that I had already given him a tip. So he got out of there quick. And I said, yeah, excuse me, in hindsight, I said he wanted to get out quick because he realized, I just got a $25 tip off this lady. Well, after he handed us the food and the receipt and I walked back in, I looked, and that's where I saw on the written out receipt, I had already tipped him when I made the order, which wasn't obvious when I made the order. So it's kind of one of those hidden things.
Right.
So it was dirty. It was underhand. It was sketchy. That's all there was to it. And again, come on, you work here, you get paid an hourly rate. Tipping on something like that, sure. Again, that's traditional. The Domino's guy, right? I'm tipping him or her.
Of course. Is there anyone that you tip more than anyone else? I just thought, like, okay, as a guy, I don't know if there are ladies, but when you go to like a more fancy place, like a hotel, not a hotel, but like a restaurant or a club, and they have the guy in the bathroom. That guy, I don't care. He hands me a paper towel, and like there's like colognes and breath mints and everything else out there. I'm giving that guy $5 at least. Like, what a miserable job. You have to stand in the bathroom. Is there someone who does that in ladies' rooms at all?
Very rarely, but I have seen it.
Okay. Annette, is there anyone that you would give extra tip to just because of the job itself?
No. And I'll tell you the example you just gave. And again, each to their own. I never, ever, ever tip the person cleaning the bathroom, because again, I feel like I'm in an establishment and they should be cleaning it. I mean, it should be clean. That should just be, the staff should be going in. Again, part of, I'm coming to your establishment. I should not have to worry about catching hepatitis C. in the
Right.
bathroom, right? I shouldn't look and say, oh, thank God they're cleaning this bathroom, right? Don't get me wrong, it's fabulous and wonderful. But so no, in that sense that you're speaking of, I don't
Mhm.
say, yes, I'm going to tip this person more. I tip based on service, because again, this is what it's about. When I'm sitting at a restaurant and there's somebody who's coming up, who's friendly, who's kind, who's helpful, who's informative, who's, going, I don't even want to say above and beyond, because that's just it. The society thinks if you smile, that's above and beyond anymore.
Right.
I always appreciate that kind of service. And I'll give somebody a 20-25% tip. Absolutely. I wouldn't even think twice about it, because again, if you make my experience that enjoyable because of your personality and in serving me, then I have no problem tipping. But that's pretty much it. And I also am someone who, because good customer service, where it used to be the rule, it's now it's the exception, and it's
Right.
terrible, right?
Right.
That's what so anytime I get good customer service, which should be standard, it shouldn't be anything that I'm falling over trying to, praise someone for.
Well,
But when I get it, I always, to the point that my kids are like, oh, geez, here we go again. Well, I was like, I go and I seek out the manager. We will stay an extra 10 minutes until I can talk to somebody to say, I want to let you know that Betty or John or whoever, they were fabulous, put a feather in their cap. They are who you want representing your restaurant, your organization, your business. Again, I don't care if it's somebody at Best Buy, if they're super awesome and helpful and not an attitude and do, basically represent the company well, I make sure that they get kudos for it.
based on what you're talking about, I would have to suspect that you get quite upset when you try to call customer service for some reason. I know it can be difficult just to find a phone number. Have you experienced a lot of problems with, reaching out to a company to try to get some answers?
All the time. I can't imagine any time in the past, I'd say 5 years, that it's been simple. Because first of all, a lot of these organizations or companies anymore, there's no customer service number. It's go to the website or you email. What are you talking about? I got
Or
to,
chat. They ask you
or
to
chat.
chat.
Oh yeah, the chat where you get the
Yeah.
guy from. I'm not going that
Are
direction.
you kidding me? I
I'm
mean,
gonna
like,
get.
no, I want to speak to a human being who can answer me in real time. I want them to hear the inflection in my voice. I want to hear the inflection in their voice. Again, God forbid humans actually interact to provide good customer service, the customer and the company. It's sick how skewed we've gotten. So I have gone on, made a simple, whenever you could find. Okay. Again, a lot of them, it's, you got to email. It's so frustrating. It's hopeless. So there's been times that I have had an 800 number. I get on and you have to listen and you have to answer 25, listen to this menu. Are you looking for A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, press 1, press 2, press 3. You have to listen to this. And seems like it could take a minute to listen to the first menu. And then
Right.
you're scared to death. If I push the wrong button, then I'm going to get, oh, well, then you have to call this other number, and anything you do wrong could set you back 10 minutes. So then you go through all of the numbers. And the worst is when you get to the last one, and this happened the other day. I was literally on the phone for, I'd say 8 to 10 minutes, listening to the menus to make sure that I push the right button, and nobody has time to do this. How about we make a phone call and they have enough people that answer and you just say, this is who I need. How about I take 5 seconds to tell you what my problem is and you put me through to the department instead of me having to go through 15 layers of menus to figure out which person I need. And I might not even know who I need. How about you provide the customer service that's able to help guide me and tell me, oh, this is your problem? Okay, gotcha. This is who you need. And you push me through. That's one button, right?
Right. And it
Well,
also
the
gets
worst,
bad. I'm sorry. Also, when you like finally get through, you've entered like your account information, you're all excited, and
Yeah.
then the rep finally jumps on, and you got to give it to them again.
Oh, thank you. Are you kidding me? And I've said that to them. I said, you should have this information for security purposes. I said, you know what? For sanity purposes, how about you not ask me these questions again? I was like, because that was the whole thing. I just spent 5 to 10 minutes to get to you. And you're acting like I'm the second guy in line at 7-Eleven that and you don't have no idea how, I got through. It's unreal.
Well,
But
a trick I learned, especially calling the gas company, they are notorious for being on hold. Well, I learned really quickly that when they say press 1 for English and then press 2 for Spanish, I pressed 2 once and the person answered immediately. And of course,
surprise,
they
surprise.
greeted me in their language, and I just said, I do speak English, and I need your help. But I got a person right off the bat.
Sure.
And they spoke to you in Spanish?
They started to, but
Okay,
then they
that makes
knew
sense.
I was not going. I didn't understand them, but they got to understand me.
I
Mhm.
I also don't like when you get into it's definitely an overseas call center, and of course they all have American names.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
hello, this is Robert.
Mhm.
Like
Yep.
like they have
Sure,
to actually.
Robert.
You're like, oh boy. I mean, like Amazon, they're notorious, like for their customer service. Like I had one guy who I ordered something, it didn't show up in time, and I said, yeah, I need to cancel my order, and he's like, but it's on its way still. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's on its way. That doesn't help me. I needed it today. He would not want to cancel my order, then transferred me to the manufacturer. And I'm sitting there going, dude, I needed it today. Why are you transferring? Then they that was almost an F Amazon moment right there for me. But good
Because
thing he didn't
customer
do it.
service is dead. That's what
Right.
I mean.
It's awful. Anyway, well, Annette, thank you so much for joining us, and you're more than welcome to be on anytime. With that, we are crotchety old men.
And a woman.
We are crotchety old men.
And a woman.
I am crotchety. She is crotchety. We are crotchety old men. Thanks, everyone.
And a woman. Don't forget that part.
I can't.